you're scrolling on by and you're going to stop and hang out with us for a few minutes. Huh? Oh, okay. We're like, as we were last week, we are the camera people, the Seining, the educators. We got all the hats on today. All right, 10 o'clock. Awesome. Hey there. Welcome to Save Barnegat Bay's virtual Seining session number 2. My name is Grace Ann Taylor, and I have Mr. Knudsen here with me.
Hello, how are you?
Kevin is here with me to help go Seining. We are at Island Beach State Park. Barnegat Bay is behind us, and we decided to do some of the Seining before we got on today because it's really, really windy, so I apologize for all of that noise. But we have a lot of cool stuff to show you. We're going to pull the net once, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that we caught, where we are, and some of the bottom sediment, and try to give you the most thorough experience for not being here with us. So we'll be right back. We're going to pull the seine at once to show you again what seining is. And ready to watch our virtual seining session number 2. Again, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Save Barnegat Bay. We are at Island Beach State Park. Behind me is Barnegat Bay. Last week we were seining on the Toms River, and today we came right to the shores of Barnegat Bay. We have so many things that we can tell you about today, so we're probably going to come back to this site if we don't cover everything, because there's just an infinite amount of things we can talk about. So I apologize for the wind. Hopefully you can still hear me. But I just want to tell you a little bit about where we are. Even though we did catch a lot of cool stuff, we'll get to that in a second. So right behind me is the Sedge Island Marine Conservation Zone. And so Sedge Island, if you were to look it up in the dictionary, is like an island full of sedge grass. And so anywhere else in the world, Sedge Island can mean a general thing. But here in Barnegat Bay, Sedge Islands usually mean the islands right here in the Marine Conservation Zone, which is, by the way, the only Marine Conservation Zone in the entire state of New Jersey. And Save Barnegat Bay did have a part in helping preserve this area. So the things that are allowed to take place in the Sedge Island Marine Conservation Zone include kayaking and private clamming. You can't come in here with commercial entities, but you can come back here yourself and go fishing and clamming. Some things that aren't permitted are personal watercraft. So they are trying really hard to educate the public about using jet skis back here, particularly because they can be really harmful to our eelgrass beds and these really shallow flats that are really, really important to the habitat in Barnegat Bay.
There's also a large osprey colony here, and when the osprey are young in the nest, they're susceptible to predators. Okay. And so a jet ski will scare those osprey up off the nest, and then predators like crows can get into the nest.
Yeah, so ospreys are the fish hawks here on Barnegat Bay. They're the really big birds that are often confused for eagles. Of course, because of the weather today, there's none flying around, but usually when we come back here, there's going to be a ton I don't know if you can pick them out, but the nests are in the background. There's no way you're going to see them, but they're basically this the telephone pole with like a basket at the top and a platform. I call it a basket, but it is a platform. Conserve Wildlife has a lot to do with their current research that is Ben Worst. And so currently the Conserve Wildlife comes out here, they track the young, they ban the birds, and they follow the population of osprey and other things in this area. Also behind us is Pete McLean's house, and actually today is the anniversary of his death, which for those of you who don't know Pete McLean, he's an amazing man who really was a big part of conservation in this area and just a legend to all of us that do this work. So his house and where he actually began helping conserve the osprey is right behind us as well. So thanks to Pete, little nod to Pete. So thank you for all of your work. So I got distracted by Pete McLean. All right, so we are in the Sedge Island Marine Conservation Zone, and let me tell you a little bit about the bottom here. The bottom that we're seining in is sandy bottom. The tide is outgoing, so the tide has a lot to do with what we're going to catch. Barnegat Inlet is not far from us, off to my right-hand side. If I were to move the tripod around, I could show you the lighthouse is right here. And you're looking across the bay at Waretown, Forked River, Manahawkin. Huh?
Lacey, we have the power plant right in the background.
Lacey, I don't know if you can see the power plant, just to give you an idea of where we are. So we've got sandy bottom, and we also have something called eelgrass beds. We walked through some of those eelgrass beds. I think we talked about them last week when we were talking in the river, but Kevin found this awesome example to show you. So the eelgrass has roots, which are usually right here, and the roots live in the soil. They're attached to the soil, and then the eelgrass stands up straight like this in the water, and so tons of it waves back and forth, and it creates a really important habitat in Barnegat Bay. So remember that these roots go into the soil, and that eelgrass picks up its nitrogen from the soil. Okay, so this is one of the major things in Barnegat Bay that has become an issue, because Kevin's gonna grab me the opposite of eelgrass, which is algae. Algae and plants are two different organisms. They're both green, and they both use photosynthesis, which means getting energy from the sun. But unfortunately, they've started to create problems for each other in the Barnegat Bay. So what happens is the eelgrass is rooted in the soil, and it's trying to create habitat for all the creatures. And then as nitrogen from the land pours off in runoff or rain, the algae grows in abundance, because algae can get its nitrogen from the water, which is where all the nitrogen that runs off the land comes from. So what happens is all of these pieces of algae, and this happens to be sea lettuce, it's really easy to identify, we see a ton of it. Its scientific name is Ulva lactuca, which is kind of fun to say. So the algae comes along, and there's so much of it because of how much pollution is running off the land in rainwater, that it starts to suffocate and cover the eelgrass. And so in some eelgrass beds, you'll see just this gunky algae all over it, of all different species of algae. And so what happens is the eelgrass then can't photosynthesize, it can't get energy from the sun, it breaks down and dies, and when that happens, the bacteria gets used up in the water, or excuse me, the oxygen gets used up in the water because of the bacteria that's eating the dead eelgrass. And that's when you start to see lower water quality, it's harder for things to live there, you see fish kills in really extreme situations. So these are natural phenomenons that are happening as a result of our behaviors on the land. So I don't want to get too into it, but yeah, I just wanted to teach you the difference. There's eelgrass, which is a plant, and algae, which is algae, and they're two different things. We're going to do a video about that, but I want to get on to cool stuff. We walked through eelgrass beds. We also walked through muddy areas and the sand flats, and the water was about 3 feet high at the deepest, 3.5 feet. I got a little amphipod crawling on my finger. It came off the grass. And what the temperature of the water is somewhere between we think it's in the 70s. We don't have a thermometer today, but it's actually kind of warm despite the really windy wind. And then also I wanted to point out to you that the wind is pushing water towards us. So even though it's an outgoing tide, Barnegat Bay is really, really shallow, so the wind has a ton to do with how much water moves in different areas. So the water is being pushed right now by the wind towards the shore, and that can also affect the things that we catch here. I have amphipods crawling all over my hands, so I'm going to let Kevin talk about clams. Go.
Marine Conservation Zone is a clammer's paradise. It's a really good spot. It's low water, like shallow water, muddy areas. This here is a quahog clam, and this is what we're searching for when we're out here clamming. You can get your clammer's license through the state. I think it's like $10, $15. You can do that online, and then you can come clamming. The only day you can't clam is Sundays, but on a weekend day, Saturday, you'll see a ton of people out here either using rakes or just treading, using their feet to find clams. This is the quahog. When you open it up, has that beautiful purple inside. They're usually beak down in the mud, and they live in the mud, and their siphons come out on top, and they're filter feeders. They filter a lot of the water that's back here, and they take out all the algae and nutrients out of the water. So they are helping filter the bay, and they also are beneficial to us because we get to put them in our belly. Reclaim the Bay is an organization you want to search out and check out their information. They do a lot of work here, especially in the Marine Conservation Zone. They put a lot of clams back into the water. Google them, check them out. If you're interested in volunteering with them, check them out. You'll have fun. And you get to eat some clams.
We have so many cool things to show you that, like, I'm not even sure what to do next. So for those of you who are still watching, thank you for hanging with us. We grabbed a clear jar this time so that we can keep the things in water if possible. And I'm gonna try to walk up to the camera to see if you can see what's in there. We got a few things in there. Let's see. So you can see the gelatinous creature right there, and we're still trying to identify him. I have no problem telling you that I don't know what something is, because as scientists sometimes we have to do more research or ask other experts or look it up on Google, not on a phone screen. But we're looking at this little gelatinous creature, and I am going to call on Dr. Paul Bologna. He's the jellyfish expert at Montclair State University, and he has done a ton of research on all kinds of little creatures like this, invertebrates, particularly jellyfish. So I'm not sure if that's a comb jelly or if it's a true jellyfish. So remember last week we talked about comb jellies were not true jellyfish, they're actually ctenophores. I don't know if you can see as I'm moving the jar around, you can kind of see the cilia on him. So I'm not actually sure, like I said, if it's a comb jelly or a true jellyfish. I'm hoping you can get a good look at him. It's kind of clear, but it has like a pinkish lines in there. And if I can hold still for a second, you might see it pulsate. We were looking it up in our books, but I'm not sure we have the right thing in our book. So we'll have to do more research on him. And then also in here we have a summer flounder, or what locals like to call a fluke. Say hi. Isn't he cute? Oh, he's so cute. He is, oh, there's a shrimp over to the one side too. I have to look at him closer to figure out what kind of shrimp he is. But summer flounder, I know that because his mouth makes an S shape when I hold him in my hand towards my palm. So if I had him, the shrimp's gonna walk into the camera. Talk about photobombing. Everybody went to the one side of the jar. Hold on. So anyway, the summer flounder is in there, and hopefully you can see him. He's a flatfish. They hide on the bottom. They're the color of sand. And, ooh, cool! Kevin brought me another animal. So this is a northern pipefish.
Yes.
So northern pipefish are one of my favorites because they are related to my favorite fish, which is a seahorse. So my favorite fish is a seahorse, but this is a pipefish, and they have a very similar prehensile tail. Prehensile is kind of like a monkey tail. They can wrap their tail around things to hold on, and they particularly live in eelgrass beds. They wrap their tail around the eelgrass, and so they have that like snout that they can filter algae or phytoplankton. I'm all screwed up. Phytoplankton and other things out of the water. So that's how they eat. And you can see they're kind of getting in each other's way. Everyone's a little crowded, but I thought it was better than trying to suffocate them in the air without giving them water. So I left them in the glass jar. We also have in this jar a stickleback, which if you looked at it closely, you'd be able to determine if it was a 3-spine or 4-spine stickleback. And of course, he's going to swim in circles. Swimming, swimming, just keep swimming. Oh, all right, he's being a butt. So for now, we're going to talk about something else. Oh, trade. This is a blue crab. For those of you who were here last week, I talked about the beautiful blue crab. This happens to be a soft shell blue crab. Soft shell means that it just molted. It means that it got rid of its hard exoskeleton. And if you were here with me, you'd see that it's a little bit squishy. I'll just squish it a little gently so that I don't hurt it. This is way too small to keep to eat, but it isn't going to hurt me because the soft shell, they don't have the strength to use their really detrimental claws. So this one is safe to hold. It is alive, and I am going to put it back so that it can continue to harden. But again, I just want to go over what a blue crab is. For those of you who weren't here last week, the swimmerets on either side are beautiful paddles that help them swim. Their scientific name is Calanectes sapidus, or beautiful swimmer. They have points on either side that you can kind of see there and on this side, and they have to be 4.5 inches from either side for you to eat them. So 4.5 inches from here to here for you to harvest them legally to eat. They're a huge part of our Barnegat Bay ecosystem, and let's see, this is likely a male. You can see there's a very straight pencil-like appendage here, and that indicates that it's a male crab. And you can, let's get a good look at him. Hello, hi there. He's adorable, awesome. And I'm gonna go put him back so that we can stop traumatizing him out in the air. He's a soft shelly, so we're gonna make sure he gets back. What do we got now? What do we have?
We have
striped killies and silver sides. That's what I thought. I was afraid to say silver side because last week we got anchovies and they look so similar. So the one right in the middle of the camera view right now is a silver side, and he's eating something. What's he eating? Did you feed him? There he is. So the silver side, there's 2 silver sides right here, and the one, I wish I could take them out for you, but the silver sides have that one silver stripe along their lateral line. And then you've got shrimp right here by my thumb. Did we figure out which kind of shrimp they were? Did you see?
Those are shore shrimp.
Shore shrimp, so they do have a rostrum.
They do have a rostrum.
They do have a rostrum.
They call it grass shrimp in the bait industry.
So, all right, so grass shrimp and
there's
shore
a grass
shrimp.
shrimp to the right, and there's a sand shrimp to the left.
Oh my gosh, look, they're right next to each other. Look at the difference.
And here comes the striped killie.
Oop, the striped killie's getting some camera time. Hi there. All right, he went away. All right, so the sand one kind of has these speckles on it, so you can kind of see why they would be called sand shrimp. They blend in with the sand.
Flatter body.
Flatter body. Why don't you tell them about them?
So sand shrimp is commonly seen in the sandy areas, hence sand shrimp. And then the grass shrimp over to the left, if you turn the bottle a little bit, you can see the difference in shape. They have that back, or that hump in the back. And he's also filled with eggs, the grass shrimp or shore shrimp on top.
Oh, look, the shrimp's hanging on to the silver side. And then the killifish, so obviously the fish in here are not going to be totally thrilled because they're in a small jar and they're like, get me out of here. But they're definitely happier than being out in the air. So there's the striped killifish. You can see that lateral stripe along the side. All right, what else do we have to share with them? So for those of you who just jumped on, we have just gone seining in the Sedge Island Marine Conservation Zone, and we're talking about some of the different critters that we found here and the different habitats that are right behind us. We have 3 buckets. Actually, we have 1 bucket and a jar and what's this? Ooh! I love these guys. All right, so this little guy is a long claw hermit crab. See the claws? So these guys are often confused. Kiddos definitely always think that these shells belong to hermit crabs, and it's it's a great teaching opportunity because long claw hermit crabs can live inside of a mud snail shell. So Kevin just went into the bay over to my right to see if he can find a mud snail. So the mud snail makes this shell, and then when it dies or gets eaten or whatever, something else has the perfect opportunity to move right on in. So the hermit crabs tend to be the ones in this area that move into these shells. So if you see one of these scurrying really quickly along the bottom of the bay, you can pretty well guess that it's a hermit crab because mud snails don't move that fast. Mud snails are detritus eaters. They're the bottom of the food chain. They are the cleanup crew. They eat all the stuff that's dying on the bottom and help recycle it back into the ecosystem. And the hermit crab is gonna hide now because he's like, you just tossed me around. I don't want to come out now. Let's see if he'll come out. What else do we know about long claw hermit crabs?
They're scavengers.
Scavengers, just like the mud snails. So they live in the same habitat. So that's what?
Decaying animals and vegetation.
Cool, decaying animals, just like the mud snail. I was telling them how they're cleanup crew.
Yeah.
Mud snails are the cleanup crew.
The vacuum cleaners of the bay.
Vacuum cleaners of the bay. Okay, he's gonna be shy. Sorry guys, I tossed him around too much. Oop, bye-bye. What else do we have to show them? Did we show them everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mummy chugs.
Talked about them last week.
Yeah, we did talk about them last week. So as you tune in with us every Thursday at 10 a.m., we're going to be seining all over Barnegat Bay. And we'll start to find similar animals. Hopefully you get some takeaways from each lesson. So today we talked about the difference particularly between eelgrass and algae and how plants and algae differ in how they take up nitrogen in the water column. The algae takes up nitrogen from the water column, while the plant or the eelgrass takes up nitrogen from the subaqueous soil, or the soil that's beneath the water. And so they differ in how they take up nitrogen, and nitrogen runs off the land in everything from dog waste to fertilizer to grass clippings. It can even be found in road salt sometimes. So it's really, really prevalent in this area with all the impervious surface or roads that we have. And the rainwater carries it all into our bay, and that algae grows in such an abundance that it tends to suffocate our eelgrass beds. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I taught today, as well as all the creatures that we identified with you. Yeah, do you have anything that I didn't talk about?
No, just you know, with the wind and everything, it affects the catch. But being at different locations, we have different habitats to pull through. So we'll have different species that we're going to find, and that is the difference between last week and this week.
Yeah, well, and the location. So behind us right now, we've got obviously what I told you was beneath the water, but we also have the sedge islands, which I didn't talk a ton about, but that Spartina altiniflora and the Spartina patens, those grass islands that are in the middle of Barnegat Bay, those affect the habitat beneath the water as well. So maybe next week we can check out some rib mussels and see if we can grab some of those and talk about some of the plant and bird species that are flying around. Everyone is hiding right now because it's kind of windy out here. So maybe next week you'll see more birds flying by. So didn't forget anything?
No.
Did any of you have any questions? Last week I was so hyper and excited that I didn't remember to ask you if you had any questions. So if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a few seconds and you can drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll get to them as soon as I jump off of the video. We did take a few minutes and download the video off of Facebook and upload the video onto our Save Barnegat Bay YouTube channel. So for those of you who are sharing content with students, you can then take the video off of our YouTube channel and share the link. That way you don't have to worry about them having a Facebook account. So we're trying to make it really accessible for you in all the different ways. Oh!
Snowy egrets flying behind it.
Snowy egret just flew by. Oh, on a beautiful day, that would be happening like every 2 minutes over here in the Marine Conservation Zone. And then we're going to jump on Instagram and give everyone a quick view of everything that we caught in the buckets. Otherwise, no questions. Thank you for tuning in with us. Again, my name is Grace Ann. I'm the Education Outreach Coordinator at Save Barnegat Bay.
Thank you.
This is Kevin. He's our volunteer. And we'll see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. at our next mysterious location. Hope to see you there.
Thank you.